Hey, what's up? We're back, and that's that friendly, familiar voice you're used to hearing. It's another edition of The Breakdown here on the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network. I'm your co-host, Max Friedman, Trademark MMA on Twitter, joined by my man all the way in the Netherlands. You may know him from Instagram, you may know him from Twitter, you may know him from MMA DNA, one of the best out there, Big Marcel Dorf. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you doing? Glad you are back, man. Key did an amazing job last week, but I'm glad you're back, man.
Yeah, let's get this out of the way. Big shout out to Keith Schillen for filling in last week. I unfortunately had to be on the road for work, and I can't ask my illustrious co-host Big Marcel to stay up till 5 a.m., 6 a.m. his time. I mean, the guy already generously stays up till 2, 3 a.m. just to accommodate me. So wasn't going to do that to him. But thanks again to Keith Schillen for filling in. That's Keith Schillen MMA on Twitter and Facebook. He contributes to Sherdog and Cage Side Press and a lot of other outlets. He does a great job and really appreciate him jumping in there. Big Marcel, what'd you think of working with Keith for the first time?
Yeah, amazing, man. I had a good time. I mean, he's a fun dude and had some good breakdowns, I think. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And, hey, but like I said, I'm happy you're back as well, man. I love your with you. So, let's get it on.
Hey, Michael Jordan took a brief hiatus from the Bulls, but now, hey, the team's back together. We're gonna rock. We're gonna win some more titles. But just a reminder, you can find this podcast as well as our other shows on the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network wherever you get podcasts. That's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud. The aforementioned Keith Schillen co-hosts MMA Yesterday with our other gracious leader Kyle Steele, as well as we got that Not Safe for Work MMA show. Pretty hilarious content there. Do not listen around those kids, though. The great Around the Cage podcast hosted by our boy Davidson Baker of Fansided MMA, also contributing now to My MMA News and Cage Side Press. Man, he does a great job there. So much more all on the network, so be sure to check that out. Big Marcel, before we get into UFC St. Petersburg, which I know you're pumped about, UFC 236, man, talk about some crazy title fights. Thoughts, just overall, the card. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man, amazing co-main and main event. I just want to say I have some technical difficulties with the internet, so if I'm gone, I will be back as soon as possible. Yeah, amazing co-main and main event. I think two fight of the night. When does that happen? Almost never, I guess. So yeah. Just amazing. I really that's why you stay awake till 6, 7 a.m. in the morning to watch those kind of fights. That's amazing.
Did you feel the decisions in the two title fights were justified? Do you think they got it right?
Yeah, I had 48-47 in the Hollow. The right winner, in my opinion, and the Gastelum against Adesanya fight. I had it even going into the fifth, I think, or even a 3-1 for Kelvin, but I had it even. And the fifth round was a 10-8 for Adesanya. So yeah, good scoring, I guess, from the judges. And yeah, I think the rightful winner won. So no problem with that.
Yeah, how about that Dwight Grant Allen Joe Band fight? What'd you think of the decision there?
I don't think you can complain if you only land 30 strikes in total in a fight where the other guy landed 28 strikes. I think you can't really much complain. I also think Alan Jouban was more frustrated with how the fight went, that he went that crazy after the frustrated about the scoring, because I think it could have gone his way, but I don't think you can complain in a fight like that.
Yeah, some other great performances on the card, no doubt about it. But we look ahead. But before we look ahead, just want to recap our picks from last week. Now, I wasn't on the show to make them, but I did give Big Marcel them ahead of time.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Not a great week for either of us. And as Keith Schillen said on this podcast last week, we're in a bit of a slump here. Big Marcel going 4-9 overall. Did pick up a bonus calling the main event. Same with me. I picked up a bonus as the main event. But I did go 6-7. So the overall standings now, I lead it just by a hair, 77-61. Big Marcel 75-63. Big Marcel does have me beat though with 4 underdogs and 10 bonuses. I only have 3 underdogs and 6 bonuses. So neck and neck here, about a quarter of the way through the year.
Yeah, man. But hey, dude. Like I said, it will be close. I was a little bit back after you in the beginning, but yeah, man, bad event. I think literally, I don't who picked good, who picked positive in this event. I haven't seen anyone online who did great. I saw the what was that the MMA podcast with James Lynch and Adam Martin.
Yeah,
Also
the
both
odds breaker parting shot.
yeah, both pick also really bad for this event. So who did pick good? I don't know, man.
Yeah, and those guys have a great podcast. Highly recommend checking that out. They do a great Q&A, and then they really run down the fights well. So they definitely go over to the MMA Odds Breaker Podcast Network and check out the Potting Shot podcast. Big Marcel, we look ahead this coming Saturday. UFC Fight Night 149. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say UFC on ESPN Plus 7 because I know that grinds your gears.
You just did.
Coming at you Saturday, April 20th, 2019, from the Yubileyny Sports Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia. I know Big Marcel's excited. I'm actually really excited myself because, A, this is a daytime card in the U.S. Nothing like waking up with a cup of coffee and some UFC on a Saturday morning. Main card starts at 1 p.m. Eastern here in the United States, and that is prelims early, 10 a.m. Eastern. Now, for my illustrious co-host in the Netherlands, that is 8 p.m. for the main card, 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Big Marcel, you're going to get a great night of sleep on Saturday.
Yeah, man, but I don't know, man, because we have Ryzen later, so there's still some. Yeah, there's still some stuff to do, right? And I mean, he finally can watch the card before he has to go to bed early. So yeah, I mean, you see him tweeting all the time, and I also tweeted to him. I'm like, dude, I'm so happy for you. An early card should be great for you.
Who's this?
Ariel Helwani.
Oh.
I'm so happy for him. Just doing a little bit of hey man, just a little bit of banter should be good, okay? I'm just joking a little bit. Come on, I can do that, right?
Big Marcel's about to start a Twitter war with Ariel Helwani.
No, absolutely not in for that. No.
All right, well let's go ahead and get into the breakdown here. That's what we're here to do. We kick things off at 155 pounds. Magomed Mustafayev taking on the UFC newcomer Rafael Fiziev, and this is a fight broken by our very own Big Marcel Dorff. MMA DNA bringing you exclusives week in and week out. This was a big fight announcement that you guys broke. Congratulations, Big Marcel. Great matchup here.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks, Ron. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. So Magomed Mustafayev out of action since November of 2016. That was a loss to Kevin Lee. It was a pretty competitive fight back then. Hate the layoff for him, though. That's a long time out of the cage, especially coming in against a very high-octane striker coming out of Tiger Muay Thai like Rafael Fiziev, coming off that really nasty Titan FC TKO body kick win in December. Had a year on the shelf, though, as that Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series appearance somehow fell through. Really love his striking and hate the Mustafayev layoff. Want to note that Mustafayev is the minus 165 favorite. The comeback on the UFC newcomer is plus 145. Big Marcel, which way does this card start off here?
Yeah, man, Mustafayev was actually, I think he had a broken arm. I don't know really, but he was almost retired. So that was... he's back now. Rafael Fiziev, really high talented prospect, I think. Finally in the UFC. Like you said, was supposed to be at the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, but due to visa issues, couldn't make it. Man, this is a tough one. I think Mustafayev is very, very good all around, but Fiziev, man, guy's on the streak. He's staring everybody down. He's coming across. So, man, I'm going with Fiziev here, man. Probably by TKO, second or third round. But yeah, I think he will have debut, Tiger Muay Thai guy. Yeah, stand-up dude. Rafael Fiziev for me. Got a win for Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, love his striking. Like you said, very dynamic on the feet. Hate the layoff for Magomed Mustafayev. I like Fiziev to get it done as an upset too. A TKO early. He's going to get him out of there in the curtain jerker of the evening. First round finish for the newcomer. We move along. 205 pounds light heavyweight division. Gadzhimurad Antigulov taking on Michal Oleksiejczuk. That's a mouthful for both of them. Oleksiejczuk out of Poland, the -210 favorite. The comeback on Antigulov, +175. Oleksiejczuk should be 2-0 in the UFC. He's 1-0 with a no contest, but strong finish in his last time out over John Vellante. Antigulov, 2-1 in the UFC, coming off a bit of a layoff and a TKO loss, a big submission guy. Big Marcel, we got the man out of Poland and a man out of, I believe, Antigulov is from Russia.
Yeah,
would make sense on this card. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, man, Gadzhimurad Antigulov. He didn't do really well in this last fight against Jan Kutelaba. Tried to get him to the ground, didn't really do it, and got stopped. Oleksiejczuk, like you said, really good last outing against Jan Vellante. Should have been 2-0, like you said as well. Oleksiejczuk did this fight on short notice because Gadzhimurad was supposed to fight Roman Dolidze, but Dolidze has visa issues and will be fighting in the Minneapolis card, I think.
Taking on Vinicius Mamute Moreira.
So yeah, I have to go with Oleksiejczuk here. I think he impressed so far in the UFC. Antigulov really goes heavy on his ground game, but if he doesn't get it to the ground, he's really open for strikes. And Oleksiejczuk has more of a complete game, I think. So yeah, I'm taking another foreign winner in this one, another Russian one. I'm going for Oleksiejczuk here.
How is he winning?
TKO probably in the first or second round. Late first, early second.
Interesting. Yeah, I like the more polished striker in Oleksiejczuk as well. Seems to be not sure he's going to be able to get the finish, but I expect him to get it done. Unanimous decision on this one. We go to the heavyweight division. We got some ranked fighters coming up. Marcin Tybura out of Poland, another Poland-Russia matchup, taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov. Marcin Tybura currently sitting at number 10 in the rankings. Abdurakhimov, number 13. Tybura, a slight -155 favorite. The comeback on the Russian. Abdurakhimov, +135. Big Marcel, you going 3 for 3 against the home country, thus to kick things off, or what?
Yeah, crazy. I will. Yeah. Tybura, pretty solid dude, I think. Not really a top guy, but he's around the top 10, I think, in the bottom of the top 10. Against Shamil Abdurakhimov, I always call him the alphabet killer because of the difficult name. Both lost to Timothy Johnson, by the way, I think. Not a matchup I'm really looking forward to because I think it will be a lot of grinding in this one. Going with Marcin Tybura by decision, but it won't be how do you say it? It will not be very great to watch. I think this will be a very not a great matchup. Stylistically, not for both guys. Yeah. Tybura is going to win this one. Is going to probably grind it out, but it's not one where you will stay on your TV screen.
Yeah, this could be a slower paced heavyweight battle for sure. Abdurakhimov quietly on a 4 out of 5 run here, coming off back-to-back wins. Tybura also coming off a win over Stefan Struve, trying to get the pronunciation right for his fellow countrymen over there. I see Tybura just having more success on the feet in this one, but I agree with your assessment. There's a reason why these two ranked fighters are third from the bottom on this fight card. I will take Tybura as well. Let's move ahead to 155 pounds lightweight division. Alexander Yakovlev in another trend of fighters coming off layoffs here. taking on Alex De Silva, a late notice replacement for Timu Pakalin. Yakovlev, a minus 150 favorite. The comeback on the newcomer De Silva is plus 130, and he is 20-1 overall. Usually toggles between 145 and 155 pounds. So he should be the smaller guy in this one, but 20-1 overall. Tons of finishes on that record. The Thunder of the North, Alexander Yakovlev, 2-4 in the UFC, losses in back-to-back, and has not fought since November of 2016. Not really sure where he has been. And also keep in mind, he's going back down to 155 pounds. He's only fought there once in the UFC. That was a win over Gray Maynard. Big Marcel, you going against Russia 4 straight, or are you gonna finally pick a home guy?
I'm taking the Thunder of the North, the rapper, the home guy, Alexander Yakovlev, to get it done. Yeah, Alex Leko, he's a solid prospect, man, but I don't think he really has faced the competition he's gonna face in the UFC yet. It's kind of the same with Zelim Imadaev last time out, last week. Yakovlev, he's a K-Dojo Warrior Tribe guy. Pretty solid game, I think. He had some losses against Kamaru Usman and the current champ, and against Zach Cummings at welterweight. So that's possible, of course. But I see Yakovlev getting this one done, man. I think he will use his ground game in this one probably, although he's more of a striker in my opinion. But I think he will use his ground game in this one to get it done by unanimous decision, defeating the debuting Alex Leko.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to swing on this one. I think I'm gonna have to go with Yakovlev too by sheer size, but wouldn't be surprised if the newcomer catches him early. Like I said, hate those layoffs, and especially over 2 years. I mean, that's always tough to come back.
Actually supposed to fight Timu Pakalin, was also has a long layoff, but I don't know why that fight fell through, but no idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, Big Marcel, we've effectively picked the same through the first 4 fights. Noticing a trend. But hey, we got a pretty coin flip of a fight in this next one at 170 pounds. Kaita Nakamura taking on Sultan Aliyev, minus 110 on both sides in the betting lines. Middling welterweights here is kind of what it looks like. Aliyev, 34 years old, 1-2 in the UFC, has pulled out of many fights. People at American Top Team were really high on him, but he hasn't shown much in the UFC. Nakamura, big-time vet. This is his second stint with the UFC, 4-3 in this one. Went 0-3 in his first UFC stint many years ago. Alternating wins and losses along the way. Aliyev, we know he could try to get the takedown. Nakamura, we know he's got a decent grappling game. Bounces around a little bit on the feet, but nothing too flashy there. Big Marcel, we got the Russian or we got the Japanese invading here on the undercard?
I'm sorry, but the pattern of Nakamura, loss win, will continue, and he will lose this one against Sultan Aliyev. Aliyev has a very strong ground game, I think, top game, and I see him taking this one to the ground and probably outgrinding Keita Nakamura to get the unanimous decision win here. Nakamura has some tough jiu-jitsu, but I think Aliyev is the stronger guy here, and he will get him down and probably grind him out for 3 rounds, getting the unanimous decision victory in St. Petersburg. That's what I think will happen, and I'm pretty confident in my pick here.
All right, well, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and go against you in this one. I like Nakamura to be a little bit more active, keep the distance. You mentioned the jiu-jitsu. I think he's an underrated grappler at 170 pounds. I like Nakamura to edge out the decision in this one, although going to be tough heading into the scorecard in Russia against one of their own. But we'll see. All right, interesting choice to headline the ESPN Plus prelims. We got the debut of one of the most highly decorated bantamweights out there, signing with the UFC, Movsar Evloev, a minus 275 favorite coming in against a fellow newcomer, Sungwoo Choi. Strange turn of events in this one. Big Marcel, we'll spare the details, but you want to let the people know what exactly happened in this situation here. Movsar Evloev was supposed to take on a different opponent for this fight.
Yeah, so Mosa Evloev, M1 Global Champion. He's actually the bantamweight champion of M1 Global, but will continue his road in the featherweight in the UFC. He would take on Muin Gafurov. Actually, that was the actual matchup. Muin Gafurov press conference in Tajikistan, but he had still a contract with one championship. So the UFC contract was void. He couldn't fight over there, and it's not happening. And they signed Sungwoo Choi, who is at the same management as Movsar Evloev. It's pretty odd. It's not happening very often, but yeah, this is the matchup right now. Sungwoo Choi hasn't fought in like 2 years. I think he fought last time in 2017. He's the former TFC champion in South Korea. Yeah, he's a pretty solid guy. He's more of a standing fighter than he's a ground fighter. While Movsar Evloev is more of fighter. He can stand, he can fight on the ground as well. Has some good wins in M1 Global against Pavel Vitruk, Rafael Diaz, and Sergey Morozov. Really high-touted prospect here. Gotta go with Movsar Evloev, man. And I have no doubt in my mind he's gonna win this fight, and probably by TKO in the second round, taking the Russian right now.
I love Movsar Evloev. Man, he seems like the real deal, incredibly well-rounded, really superior grappling. Choi, we know 5 TKO finishes on his record. There's been that emerging talent coming out of South Korea, that's for sure. But this is a tough fight. I think Evloev gets to the ground, snatches that submission. But I'm excited to see Choi in the UFC. I think we've seen a lot of recent talent come out of South Korea. Hopefully he is one of continues that trend rather in the UFC, but I'll take Evloev as well. Submission, second round. All right, well, let's go to the main card. Also on ESPN Plus, and we kick things off in the middleweight division. Poland's Krzysztof Jotko taking on Alan Amedovski, who is not Russian, right? He is Italian and of a Macedonian. Yeah. And if you have not seen Alan Amedovski fight, go watch his last 2 fights in Bellator. This guy has heavy hands. Heavy hands. Chris Jotko really coming into his own in the UFC, but now he's on the heels of 3 straight losses, and he's been finished in back-to-back fights. Big Marcel. And also, important to note, Alan Amedovski coming in to this fight on short notice. Trying to remember who he's replacing. It was
Roman Kopylov.
Yeah, another high-profile signing out of Russia. Big Marcel, we got the newcomer, we got the seasoned vet in this one.
Man, I just want to say I'm absolutely sad we won't see Roman Kopylov because of that injury. That dude is a huge prospect in Russia, and he's really going to do well in the UFC, but we have to wait for his debut. Krzysztof Jotko, I always thought he was very underrated, man, but he has 3 losses in a row, like you said. Alan Amedovski, man, in Bellator, he absolutely demolished his 2 opponents there. Will Fleury, Abraham Manet, really also a high-touted prospect, I think. But yeah, well, can you call someone a prospect who is 31, right? But I think Amedovski in this one. I think he's on the streak. He's doing pretty well. I'm really impressed with how he fought, but he has those early finishes. How will he do in later rounds against a veteran like Jotko? That's the second thought right here. But I have to go with my gut feeling. I think Amedovski can land those heavy hands and can put Jotko's lights out. So go with the first round finish here.
I'm right there with you, man. I love the way Amedovski throws those hands. On paper, it's a tough fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Jotko bounces back and grinds out that decision. But man, Amedovski, I'm surprised Bellator really didn't snatch him up for a long-term deal.
Yeah.
So this is a good signing by the UFC. I think he gets it done in this one, first round to TKO for the newcomer. All right. Well, we got a fight at 125 pounds of some ranked competitors here. Roxanne Modafferi, the former title challenger, taking on Antonina Shevchenko. Modafferi currently sitting at number 7 in the rankings. Shevchenko at 12, but Shevchenko a huge favorite and climbing, starting at minus 300 all the way up to minus 350 now. Modafferi, the comeback on her is plus 290. But, man, this is a huge step up in competition for Shevchenko in this one. I mean, she is 7-0, and she's 1-0 in the UFC, but has not fought anyone with the experience and grappling credentials of Roxanne Modafferi. I mean, Roxy, 1-2 in the UFC, 1-3 overall, but coming off a loss to Sijara Eubanks. Prior to that, had a war with Nico Montano and a dominant win over Barb Honchak sandwiched in between. Big Marcel, are the odds makers not giving Roxy, the veteran, some love on this one? Do you agree with this betting line?
Can I say something really nasty? I couldn't care less about this fight, honestly. I really don't. It's for me, it's like it's a great break to take a piss. Antonina Shevchenko against Roxanne Modafferi. It's like the veteran against the kickboxing Muay Thai champion who is now trying an MMA, trying to get to the top. If Modafferi can get her pace going, and she maybe can get the unanimous decision win. But man, it's hard to go for Roxy in this one. I think I'm going with Shevchenko, probably by finish, first or second round TKO. I think she finishes her, but it's not. It's a weird matchup for me. Honestly, it's a weird matchup in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. You have Antonina Shevchenko, the sister of the current champion Valentina Shevchenko, someone who's getting a lot of notoriety, came to the UFC via the Dana White Tuesday Contender Series. Like you said, very highly credentialed and skilled in the kickboxing world. Now trying to make her stamp her career and her legacy in mixed martial arts. If Roxy can get this fight to the ground, I think she takes it with ease. Man, Roxy is really tough on top, really smooth transitions. The problem is she's very outskilled on the feet in this one, and I wouldn't be surprised if your prediction, if she gets caught early and finished. But my first instinct on this was Roxanne Modafferi dragging Shevchenko into deep waters, into the ground, and then getting one of those ground and pound finishes. So I'm going to go ahead and go with first gut here. I'll take Roxy, the underdog. But man, it is an interesting matchup that someone who's bona fide at the top against your really true up and coming talent who could be your I don't know if she's going to challenge for the title anytime soon with her sister at the top of the throne, but it could be a future title challenge.
Always go with your first thought, man. So that's cool. I always do that as well. Solid.
Yeah, you gave me that advice a few weeks ago, and I've been really trying to stick with it too. All right. Well, we got an awesome fight at 205 pounds. Hopefully, Big Marcel will be back from his pee break for this one. Hulk, Ivan Sturkov taking on Devin Clark, the Brown Bear. Sturkov, the minus 200 favorite. Come back on the American Clark, plus 170. Clark really up and down in his UFC career since coming via Dana White's looking for a fight show. He's 3-3, coming off that TKO loss to Alexander Rakic. Jackson Winklejohn guy, we know he's a primary sparring partner of John Jones during fight camps. Sturkov, the Hulk, very high-profile signing when he was signed. He's 16-0, a lot of finishes against top competition, including Thiago Silva, Fabio Maldonado, Satoshi Ishii, Bill DeFries, Bigfoot Silva, Jeff Monson. I mean, he's got veterans galore on his resume already. Big Marcel, do we have another up-and-coming Russian talent in the light heavyweight division on our hands?
I also want to say broke by yours truly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. That's
my apologies.
No problem, man. Short notice fight for Sturkov, who actually Clark was supposed to fight Abdul Karim Adilov. Devin Clark, like you said, is up and down in his UFC career. He actually did look good against Alexander Rakic in this last fight, but he got caught in the first round. And he lost by TKO with a spinning back fist. Stirkov, like you said, has some veterans on his resume. Man, he got Christian Mkumbu, the former Bellator champion, Thiago Silva, Fabio Maldonado, Satoshi Ishii, who was fighting in PFL and KSW. Man, I think this if round probably by a TKO or KO. If it goes to the later round, I might favor Clark, but I'm taking the KO win for Stirkov in the first round. I got to go with him. He's been impressive so far in his career, and man, the guy's a tank. The Ural Hulk, or how they call him. So yeah, going with Stirkov here. I really wonder what you're gonna say.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I don't think you can bet against this guy. In 16-0, look at the guys on his record. I mean, and especially look at some really tough grapplers like Satoshi Ishii, like you mentioned, Phil DeFries. Yeah, I don't think Devin Clark really has many ways to win unless he really gets it into later rounds, and Stirkov is gas tank's not there.
Yeah.
All right, well, we go to the heavyweight division. And another Russian on the card, Sergey Pavlovich, a -285 favorite against the Brazilian Marcelo Golm, +225. Big Marcel, on paper, this seems like a bounce-back opportunity for Sergey Pavlovich, but break it down for us.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Marcelo Golm, besides his UFC debut against Christian Colombo, really bad showings against Timothy Johnson and Arjan Bular, I think. Sergey Pavlovich, he had a tough debut against Alistair Overeem, where many people actually thought he had a great chance to win in that one. But
he was favored.
Yeah, he was favored, but Overeem showed that he was not done yet, and that he has the potential to still get back where he was. And yeah, man, but like you said, man, I think this is a comeback fight for Pavlovich. I can't see him losing this one at all. I think Golm is I don't hope so for him, because I don't never hope someone gets cut, but Golm is gone after this one, man. Pavlovich, first round, probably by TKO or knockout, ground and pound.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Everything you said. Marcelo Golm, 2 lackluster decision losses. I mean, he had some success in his UFC debut, but against the guy who's no longer with the organization. Perfect opportunity for 12-1 for Sergey Pavlovich to bounce back from his first career loss and really find that opportunity to take over and get a TKO and really erupt that crowd in St. Petersburg, Russia. I'll take him with a early second round finish.
Besides his beautiful first name, the Brazilian.
Marcelo. If you were in Brazil, Big Marcelo, would you be Marcelo Dorff?
I don't know, man. I let the Brazilian people take care of that. I have no idea.
All right, co-main event time, and it's interesting. We got a UFC debuting fighter in the co-main event, but Islam Makhachev, a -450 favorite in his home country. He takes on Arman Tsarukyan, a +360 underdog. Talk about a rude welcoming for Tsarukyan. I mean, this guy's 13-1 overall, and he's won 12 straight. He's beaten 3 UFC vets in his last 4. Still only 22 years old, but they throw him into the deep waters. They throw him in with the sharks right away. Islam Makhachev, I mean, 5-1 in the UFC, and he's won 4 straight. He had that knockout loss to Adriano Martins in 2015, but I think that actually helped him grow in the UFC. I mean, this guy's 16-1 overall, and he has been dominant. Big Marcel, co-main event. We got the newcomer. We got the shark. What's gonna happen?
Man, Makhachev, I always say, how can you go against him, you know? But Arman Tsarukyan, he is a solid dude. He fights at the Tiger Muay Thai as well. I have to go with Makhachev. I'm taking it by unanimous decision, but don't be surprised. You absolutely don't be surprised. He has the credentials to do this. I think it's a very tough matchup for Islam Makhachev, maybe as tough as in the UFC yet. And people are laughing at me when I say this, but believe me, Tsarukyan has a really good chance to get this win. So if you want to bet on this fight, I You want to take a chance, try it, man, because this can be going anywhere. I think Tsarukyan has the potential to finish Makhachev, but I have to go with Makhachev in this one. But don't be surprised.
Yeah, that guy's a stud, and I think against a lot of guys on this roster that have many UFC fights, I would favor Tsarukyan, but Makhachev just seems like he's clicking on all cylinders, really taking after his training partner and close friend Khabib Nurmagomedov. So I'm going to take Makhachev with a unanimous decision as well. All right, main event time. We got a 5-round fight in the UFC's heavyweight division. Alistair Overeem, the number 7 ranked heavyweight. He is a sizable -245 favorite against the short notice replacement, number 9 ranked Alexei Oleinik, +205, the comeback on Oleinik, replacing fellow countryman Alexander Volkov. And we appear to have lost my illustrious co-host, Big Marcel, but no big deal. Let's talk about this main event for a second. Alexei Oleinik is a guy that finds ways to snatch limbs and snatch up that choke. Big Marcel, you back with us?
Yeah, man.
All right, we're good. You didn't miss much. Alistair Overeem burst out of his losses with a dominant win over Sergey Pavlovich. We mentioned this earlier in the show. In his last UFC outing, he seems to handle tall fighters well, and really those fights where Alistair Overeem, you think he's gonna win, he seems to win. Oleinik, though, a submission artist. I'm not sure if he's able to get a hold of Alistair Overeem in this one. This is a guy who's been fighting for a very long time, and I don't ever recall seeing Alistair Overeem submitted, at least not in the UFC. Alistair Overeem, TKO in the second round. It seems like a great matchup for him, in my opinion. But Big Marcel, Alexei Oleinik replaces Alexander Volkov. Does he come in and pick up another upset win and snatch and find that what is it, that Ezekiel choke that he does so well?
Nah, no way, man. I mean, Overeem is too good on the ground to get an Ezekiel choke, I think. I think he got submitted once only against Werdum and Pride, I think, if I recall well. I don't see it happening, to be honest, man. I think this is a much favorable fight for Overeem than it was against Volkov, the original matchup. I see Overeem winning this by unanimous decision, by even with a submission, man, from the top. I wouldn't be surprised with that either way. But going with a TKO and probably in the first round or the end of the first round, taking Overeem here, I don't see Oleinik getting the win. Although I really like Oleinik, I think he's a great fighter. But Overeem, and Overeem, we just had a documentary over here in the Netherlands about Overeem, where we said he signed a new 6-fight contract with the UFC. So,
that's awesome.
There are some expectations, I guess. He said he probably needs 2 wins to get another shot at the title. So that's his opinion, by the way. So that's what he said.
I've been a fan of Overeem since his Pride days, man, when he was fighting at middleweight. I remember when he choked out Vitor Belfort. It's like a standing guillotine, man. This guy's been all over the place, but I've always been a fan of Alistair Overeem's fighting style, and I was actually happy to see him get that win over Sergey Pavlovich last time out. I think this is a very favorable matchup for him against Alexei Oleinik, and he won't slip up in this one. He'll find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's run down our picks real quick, and then we'll get into bonuses and the other business. Not too many differences this week for us, too, but that's okay. We're both taking the UFC newcomer Rafael Fiziev to get it done with a TKO in his UFC debut against the returning Magomed Mustafayev. Both taking Michal Oleksiejczuk to get it done over Gazimurat Antigulov. Keeping with the trend of the foreigners taking out the home country guys, Marcin Tybura over Shamil Abdurakhimov. Both have Alexander the Thunder of the North Yakovlev getting it done over Alexander Leko da Silva in his UFC debut. We're split on the next one. Big Marcel's got American top teams Sultan Aliyev. I'm taking Kaita Nakamura to get it done on the road, split decision. Both taking the UFC newcomer Movsar Evloev, the former M1 Global Bantamweight champion, in his UFC debut against fellow UFC debut fighting Sung Woo Choi. Both taking the newcomer Amadovsky to get it done. Alan Amadovsky over Chris Yatko. We're split on the next one at 125 pounds. He's taking Anthony Shevchenko. I've got Roxanne Modafferi, the veteran, to get it done. Both taking the debuting Russian Hulk, Ivan Shturkov, over Devin Clark. Both taking Sergey Pavlovich to bounce back and get it done over Marcelo Golm. Both taking Islam Makhachev, although in a very tough fight against Arman Tsarukyan, UFC debut there in the co-main event. And in the main event of the evening, both taking Alistair Overeem to finish Alexei Olenek. Big Marcel, up and down the card. Who's your lock of the evening? Who is the one that's going to get it done? No doubt about it.
Pavlovich against Golm.
Solid pick there. I'm going to go with Movsar Evloev, man. I'm so high on that guy. I think he's awesome. I'm really excited the UFC signed him. I'm taking him on that one. Underdog of the evening, and we have a few options to choose from. I'm going to go first on this one. Alan Amadovsky. I think he's going to knock out Chris Yatko. I'm taking him on as my underdog pick. Big Marcel, you need a reminder on which underdogs you've taken?
Yes, please.
Rafael Fiziev, Sultan Aliyev, and also Amadovsky.
Let's take Fiziev.
All right. Bonus time. A lot of good options for fight of the night. Big Marcel, fight of the night. Who we got?
Islam Makhachev against Arman Tsarukyan.
Good pick there. And I bet, like you said, a lot of people are probably fading Arman Tsarukyan just for simply not knowing who he is and being high on Makhachev. But that's a really close fight on paper. Fight of the night for me, this is tough. I'm going to take – oh, man. Curtain jerker, Rafael Fiziev, Magomed Mustafayev. I think it's going to be a war for however long it lasts.
Bold prediction, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm already regretting it. So, but I'm just going to go with it. Performance of the night bonuses. I'm going to take Overeem in the main event, and then I think I'm going to take. Let's go Ivan Shturkov in his UFC debut. Oh, wait. You know what? I wanted Pavlovich. My bad. I'm going to take Pavlovich instead. Performance of the night bonuses. Overeem and Pavlovich.
Overeem and Yakovlev.
Yakovlev. Ooh.
Yes, local dude.
Interesting. Okay. So let's recap those real quick. Fight of the night. Big Marcel's got Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan in the co-main event. I'm going to take the curtain jerker, Rafael Fiziev and Magomed Mustafayev. Underdog picks of the evening. Taking Alan Amadovsky to get it done over Chris Yatko. Big Marcel's got Rafael Fiziev over Magomed Mustafayev. Lock of the evening. Big Marcel is taking Sergey Pavlovich. I'm going to take Movsar Evloev. And performance of the night bonuses. I'm going to take Alistair Overeem and Sergey Pavlovich. Big Marcel's got Alistair Overeem and Alexander Yakovlev. Man, a lot of big names on this one. A lot of Evs, but that's a fight card in Russia for you. Big Marcel, any closing thoughts on UFC Fight Night 149?
No, man, just watch, enjoy, and for people who think like this is a bad card, just watch and please just give your opinion after the card, man, because there's some really good fighters on this card, some really fun debut fighters on this one. So just enjoy the show, man. That's
Great
all.
point. And shout out to our good friend Davidson Baker, host of the Around the Cage podcast here on the LoudMouthMMA podcast network. Had a great tweet the other day. He said a lot of people on his timelines were complaining about this UFC St. Petersburg card not being good or just being completely completely, lackluster. He said, if you don't like it, don't watch it. No one's forcing you. No one's putting a gun to your head saying you have to watch these fights. I'm right there with them. People who know the sport know there's a lot of fun fights on this card. I'm really excited. I know you are, Big Marcel, but we get excited over every single UFC fight. But yeah, don't go out there putting hate, throwing shade to the fight card if you're not gonna, if you don't even know. Before we get out of here, I want to remind everyone to follow the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts. Big Marcel, where can the fans find and follow you?
You can find and follow me on Twitter and Instagram on BigMarcel24. You can read articles and all the stuff is in Dutch. In Google Translate, MMADNA.nl or MMADNA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow my co-host. Actually, I'm his co-host. He's my co-host. So Trademark MMA, man, Max. Thanks for always doing this breakdown with me. It's always fun. And thanks, shout out to Keith Schilling, Kyle Steele, Davidson Baker, and Fred Kirby, and everybody I forgot. And my team, MMA DNA, the crew. Our team is great, man. Love you guys. All love.
They do great work, and even though their site is in Dutch, it's very easy to follow for those who do not speak Dutch like myself, but still one of my regular stops on the internet for sure. You won't regret it if you follow Big Marcel 24 and subscribe to MMA DNA. You can find me on Twitter, Trademark MMA. Haven't been writing too much, just a lot of other priorities in the life. But hey, I'm still doing this podcast week in and week out with my main man Marcel over there in Netherlands. So always got time for you, man.
Thanks, bro. Likewise.
Thank you for tuning in this week. We will be back next week to do UFC Florida. I don't know if it's UFC Sunrise Florida. Is it UFC Miami? It's
UFC
Lauderdale. What is
UFC Sunrise? But the hashtag is UFC Fort Lauderdale. So plus
everything, every city in Florida has been tagged on this thing.
You saw the change, by the way, for the American viewers, that it's not an ESPN, big ESPN, but it's an ESPN Plus now.
It was on ESPN. Now it's on ESPN Plus, or
yeah, exactly. It was on big ESPN. It was a big ESPN card. Now it's on ESPN Plus.
Huh. Interesting. But hey, whatever happens, man. I guess maybe once Yoel Romero pulled out and got replaced by Jack Hermanson, that wasn't enough star power to keep it on the big channel. But oh well.
Still weird.
Nonetheless, thanks for everybody for tuning in this week. We will be back for UFC Sunrise / Fort Lauderdale. Really enjoyed talking to you. Take care. Have a good night.